What's up, everybody? We're back at it again with another video. And in this video, we'll be answering the question, should you carry with a round in the chamber? A lot of people get nervous about carrying firearms hot or with one in the chamber. And I understand 100%, you think, oh, is it going to go off? Or, you're very nervous about it. And trust me, I've been there at one point, but the answer to the question is a very simple yes. You should always carry with a round in the chamber. Now, there are some exceptions, but in most cases, it is the pros outweigh the cons with one in the chamber versus empty chamber. So I'll talk about it with you guys. So basically this, all right? The reason you want to carry with a round in the chamber is because in most self-defense situations, you will not have time to worry about chambering a round in your firearm. And that's a fact, okay? I watch videos all the time of self-defense cases or scenarios where that happens. I've even seen several videos where the fact that they did not have one already chambered in their firearm got them killed. Even though they had the drop on the bad guy, they got killed because they had to take that extra second to chamber a round. So that's the reality, and a lot of people don't like to think about that, right? They're like, "Oh, well, the chance of me having to use my guns low, so I just don't want to be. I want to be at ease." I understand 100% because, listen, I'll explain to you this. When I first started carrying my firearm, right, way back, I was scared to carry with one in the chamber. I actually carried with an empty chamber for a little bit, right? But then as I seen these videos and all this stuff of people getting killed because they didn't have a round in the chamber, I started rethinking why I would do that. And I'm like, you know what? And I started doing research on people carrying and the best ways to do this and that, right? And I came to the conclusion that I need to start carrying with one in the chamber. If you have a decent holster, Kydex is pretty good, and you have a good firearm, and as long as it's not a P320, you should be set. And it fits your gun, it molds, the trigger guard is covered, as you can see, then you're fine. The gun's not going to go off at all. And actually, I watched this YouTube video. I can't remember the guy's name, so I can't shout him out, but he had a good way of going about getting comfortable with carrying with a round in the chamber. And he said, carry with an empty chamber, make sure the trigger's forward, because on a Glock, when you pull the trigger, it stays back, right? He said carry with an empty chamber for like a couple of months, and every time you get home or whatever, check and see if that trigger's been pulled. He says you'll realize that the trigger never gets pulled, so the gun's not going to go off. Now, I did it a different way. I did it more of a just do it way, right? What I did was this. I said, I'm just going to do it. So what I do, I carried with around a chamber at a restaurant. I carry with around a chamber at the dollar store. I carried it around in a chamber in like the Walmart or whatever. And as I did it more and more, I got used to it. And now that's all I do. I carry with one in the chamber every time. Because when you're out there, you don't have control of what's going on, and you will not have time to do. This is essentially what people think they can do, right? Clear. Say I have it on my hip or in your position of concealed carry, and you got to pull. Under stress, doing this while you are being faced with death, you're going to go, ugh. You might fobble up and not do it correctly. You might cause a malfunction. It's a lot that could go wrong. Now, look, we'll talk about the pros and cons, okay? For both, right? All right, let's start with empty chamber. Pros. It's impossible to have an accident, a negligent discharge. Okay, yes, it's impossible for that to happen with an empty chamber. That's a pro. That's a pretty big pro in my opinion. Another pro. I don't even think there's any other pros than that, to be honest with you. I think that's it. I think it'll make you. No, that's not even it. That's the only pro. The only pro is you cannot have a negligent discharge. Okay, that's it. Cons. Slower to draw, right? More steps to take to get your weapon in the fight, right? Um, what else? Uh, that's pretty much it. You're slower, and it takes more steps to get your weapon to fight, and that could cause you to possibly lose the gunfight if there's a gunfight going on, right? And think about it this way, right? Some people say, "Oh, I'll just draw and chamber around," right? Well, I have a scenario, and let's see if you can overcome the scenario. Let's say somebody started shooting like a mass shooting or whatever at a place you were at, and you got hit in your damn arm. Do you seriously believe that you're going to be able to just, with an arm that is like basically broke, your bones are shattered in your elbow or whatever, you can't move your arm. So how the fuck are you going to chamber around if your support hand is out of the fight? Now I get it. Some people say off the table and do all this shit, but be realistic here. All right, most people are not training like that, and so keeping a round chambered also gives you the ability to use your support hand as a fighting off tactic, right? Like you're pushing somebody back or whatever, or you can, whatever. You can use this hand while still having this up ready to go. With one in the chamber. Without one in the chamber, you got to use your other hand to get it back, get the gun in the fight, So the cons of carrying with the empty chamber are detrimental. The pros, you're essentially worrying about something that probably isn't going to happen if you got a good holster and a decent gun. Okay. So, and we'll talk about the pros and cons of carrying with a round in chamber. Okay. The pros: faster draw time. Right now, I know that's not everything, but faster draw time, less steps to draw. So all you do is draw, point, shoot, or draw, present, shoot, instead of draw, chamber around, present, shoot. Okay, that's different. The other pros is, like I said, you can fend off attackers with your other hand if you don't need to shoot them, or if somebody rushes you and you gotta get hands on with them, right? If somebody tackles you and you have a firearm that doesn't have a round in the chamber, and let's say they're pummeling you, can you please explain to me how the hell are you going to get a round in the chamber while you're getting attacked physically on the ground? You know what I mean? So the cons of carrying with a round in the chamber essentially is the chance of negligent discharge is there, right? But it's only there if you're, negligent, but it's still there nonetheless. I think that's the only con in my opinion. That's it. So, yeah, in my opinion, should you carry with a round in the chamber? Of course. And it's not hard to keep a round in the chamber. Like, it's simple. And this is what I would say. Like I said, the way I did it is you just do it, okay? Just do it with a good holster. Don't get a cheap Walmart holster. Don't do it without a holster, because if you're going to carry without a holster, and that's when I'm going to get into the exceptions, okay? The exceptions are this. One, bag carry. Unless you got like a holster set up in a bag, right? I would carry without one in the chamber. That's just my personal opinion. Two, if you're going to carry without a holster, now, I wouldn't recommend that at all, okay? They call it felony carry for a reason, because you shoot yourself or you shoot somebody else and you end up a felon afterwards, or typically felons carry like that, whichever way it goes. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend carrying with a round in the chamber if you're gonna felony carry, because there's nothing protecting the trigger guard at all, and you could shoot yourself. So, and then there's a third exception. Well, not even exception. It's more my personal opinion on this topic. But generally, for guns I have at my home, I generally don't keep one in the chamber. If you have a safe, that's fine. But if you don't, I wouldn't. So that's it. But as a concealed carry, you're carrying your gun. Yes, carry with one in the chamber. You will be very glad if you have to use this gun that there's one in the chamber, because all you got to do is point and shoot. That's it. And if you have a safety, all you got to do is draw safety off, shoot, instead of draw safety off, chamber around, all that bullshit. So, yes, carry with one in the chamber. and I know I know people are nervous. Like, I don't know. Put it this way: if you're extremely nervous about it, then carry with an empty chamber. But you want to work up to being able to carry with a round in the chamber. You want that to be your goal, because you're just sitting here carrying without a round in the chamber, and something goes off or something goes down. You might not have that time to do all that under stress. So yes, that's my opinion on the whole topic. I would recommend carrying with one in the chamber, with whatever gun. Now, the only gun I would not recommend that with is the SIG P320. So y'all know about that. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. If you got any comments, any questions, or anything like that, let me know. I'm not an expert or anything. I'm just a guy that loves firearms. It's a passion of mine, and we're going through, my journey of becoming more experienced, and I'll take you guys along with me on that. So yeah, so that's it for this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks for the support, and subscribe to those podcasts and all that. Peace.